Stop scrolling right now. What you are about to see could fundamentally change how you look at the loose change sitting on your dresser. We are going to reveal a specific set of Lincoln Wheat Pennies, and I can assure you that one of them is worth far more than its humble copper appearance suggests. You might already be unknowingly overlooking something incredibly valuable that has passed through your hands countless times without a second glance. This video is a ranked countdown, moving steadily from highly valuable examples all the way to the most remarkable and rare specimen on our list. You will need to watch this entire progression carefully because leaving early means missing the most important item, along with the exact visual details required to identify it. Think about your own pocket change, that old jar of mixed coins in the hall closet, or an inherited collection gathering dust in the attic, because the very item we discuss could be sitting right there waiting for you to recognize its true worth. Before we dive into the first coin on our list, I want you to drop a comment below and tell me, have you ever searched through a jar of old pennies specifically looking for a rare date? Coin number 4. What if I told you that a penny minted as the world plunged into global conflict could fund a brand new luxury vehicle today? We are looking at the 1941 Lincoln Wheat Penny, struck at the main Philadelphia Mint with no mint mark, a classic and seemingly common piece of American numismatic history. This coin was produced during a period of immense industrial buildup in the United States, just months before the nation officially entered the Second World War. The minting facilities were operating at absolute maximum capacity to support a rapidly expanding wartime economy, churning out hundreds of millions of these exact copper planchets to facilitate everyday commerce across the country. To identify the most crucial feature of this specific issue, you must look closely at the date and the word liberty on the obverse of the coin. You are searching for distinct, undeniable doubling, a manufacturing error where the heavy steel die shifted slightly between hub impressions, leaving a sharply doubled image on the final coin that instantly elevates its status from common pocket change to a major numismatic prize. To understand its significance, we must look at the broader series. The Lincoln Wheat Cent was introduced in 1909 to replace the aging Indian head design created by sculptor Victor David Brenner to commemorate the 100th anniversary of Abraham Lincoln's birth. For nearly 50 years, these coins were struck in a composition of 95% copper and 5% tin and zinc known as French bronze, featuring the iconic 2 wheat stalks on the reverse that symbolize national agricultural prosperity. The value of this specific coin is dictated by a strict set of criteria. First is the sharpness of the strike, meaning how fully the metal flowed into the deepest recesses of the die during production. Second is surface preservation, accounting for the absolute absence of contact marks or abrasions from other coins. Third is the presence of original mint luster, that unbroken cartwheel effect that dances across the surface under a light source. Fourth is the color designation, with full red copper commanding an immense premium over brown or red-brown examples. Fifth is the absolute confirmation of the doubling variety on the obverse lettering. Finally, overall eye appeal plays a massive role in collector demand. To inspect your own 1941 penny for these traits, you must follow a mirrored process. First, use a jeweler's loupe with at least 10 power magnification to examine the lettering for the telltale split serifs of a doubled die. Second, tilt the coin back and forth under a single direct light source to check for unbroken, sweeping luster across the fields. Third, inspect the highest points of the design, specifically Lincoln's cheekbone and the tips of the wheat ears, for the slightest friction that indicates circulation wear. Fourth, compare the coin's surface against known, uncirculated copper references to determine its true color grade. Fifth, analyze the lack of a mint mark under the date to confirm its Philadelphia origin. Sixth, check the rims and edges for any mechanical damage that might lower the overall aesthetic appeal. The grading and classification of these coins dictate that small differences in condition or authenticity produce staggeringly large differences in value. A specimen that looks uncirculated to the naked eye but has microscopic wear on the high points will be classified as an about uncirculated coin, worth perhaps only a few dollars. However, an entirely pristine example graded at the absolute top of the mint state spectrum leaps into a completely different financial universe. Many people believe that simply finding an old coin with a visible error makes them rich instantly, but experienced experts know that it is the precise intersection of a rare variety with flawless, uncirculated preservation that creates true astronomical value. You can still find these remarkable coins hiding in plain sight. They regularly turn up in forgotten attics, inside old canvas bank bags at rural estate sales, hidden within inherited collections where the original owner never knew what to look for, and even at local thrift stores mixed into miscellaneous jars of vintage change. If you do locate one, you must never attempt to clean, polish, or alter the coin in any way, because original untouched surfaces matter infinitely more than an artificial shine. True scarcity in the coin world lives entirely in the condition and state of preservation, not in the raw production numbers of the year. When a flawless 1941 double die of verse penny in perfect red condition crosses the auction block, the financial realization is breathtaking, with a record sale reaching an astonishing $33,600. Go check your own jars and albums for any 1941 pennies right now, because as we move to our next coin, the stakes are about to get even higher. Coin number 3. What if I told you that a penny minted during the height of the mid-century post-war boom could hold enough value to rival a substantial down payment on a home? We turn our attention now to the 1955 Lincoln Wheat Penny, struck at the legendary San Francisco Mint, representing the final year this specific facility would produce pennies for circulation for over a decade. The origin and context of this coin are incredibly important, as it was produced during a major transitional era for the United States Mint. The San Francisco facility was actively winding down its circulating coin operations, meaning their overall production numbers were significantly lower than the massive, unrelenting outputs seen in Philadelphia and Denver during this exact same time period. To identify this coin's true potential, you must look directly below the date for the S mint mark. You are looking for a perfectly preserved, deeply struck mint mark combined with absolutely pristine surfaces, as the San Francisco Mint was notorious during this era for producing coins with weak strikes and mushy details due to overused, exhausted dyes. To fully appreciate its place in history, we must revisit the broader series context. The Lincoln Wheat cent was introduced back in 1909 to replace the Indian head design, sculpted by Victor David Brenner to commemorate Abraham Lincoln's centennial. For nearly half a century, these iconic coins were struck in a traditional composition of 95% copper and 5% tin and zinc, known as French bronze, always featuring the beloved wheat stalks on the reverse that symbolize the agricultural heartland of the nation. The value of this specific San Francisco issue is governed by an unyielding checklist of factors. First is the strength and completeness of the strike, which is notoriously difficult to find on 1955 S pennies. Second is the immaculate preservation of the surfaces, free from any bagging or contact marks from the chaotic minting process. Third is the intensity of the original mint luster, requiring a brilliant, frosty appearance. Fourth is the strict color designation, demanding a vibrant, fiery red hue without any oxidation. Fifth is the absolute absence of any environmental spotting or carbon spots, which constantly plague vintage copper. Finally, overall aesthetic eye appeal must be truly exceptional to command the highest premiums. To evaluate your own 1955 S penny, you must mirror these value factors precisely in your inspection. First, utilize strong magnification to examine the sharpness of Lincoln's hair and the lines within the wheat ears, looking for full, crisp detail. Second, rotate the coin under an incandescent light to verify that the frosty luster is continuous and unbroken across the entire surface. Third, scan the most prominent features, like the cheekbone and the jaw, for any microscopic flattening that would demote the coin from mint state status. Fourth, assess the color under neutral lighting to ensure it retains its original factory red rather than turning brown or red-brown. Fifth, carefully inspect the surface for tiny black carbon spots that can develop over decades of improper storage in humid environments. Sixth, verify the clarity and the style of the S mint mark beneath the date. The classification system for these vintage coppers dictates that minor differences in condition create monumental differences in financial worth. A standard uncirculated 1955 S penny with weak details and a faded brown color might only trade for a handful of spare change. Conversely, an utterly flawless, gem-quality specimen boasting a sharp strike and blinding original red color ascends into the rarest echelons of numismatic desirability. Many people believe that age alone dictates the value of a mid-century coin, but experienced collectors know that it is the miraculous survival of a perfectly struck, beautifully toned copper surface that truly commands life-changing money. These elusive survivors are still out there waiting to be discovered. They frequently emerge from long-forgotten safe deposit boxes, untouched original bank rolls hoarded by grandfathers, dusty estate sales where vintage collections are liquidated without a second glance and occasionally tucked inside old cigar boxes hidden in basement rafters. If you are fortunate enough to find a pristine example, you must never rub, clean, or chemically dip the coin, as preserving its original surface integrity matters far more than making it look artificially new. Always remember that true scarcity in the coin collecting world lives within the exceptional state of preservation, not simply in the overall mintage figures of the era. When an impeccable 1955 S Lincoln Wheat Penny graded at the absolute zenith of mint state red crosses the auction block, the results are staggering, with one legendary example commanding an incredible $28,200. Take a moment to search your old coin albums for that San Francisco mint mark right now, because our next coin takes the concept of microscopic perfection to an entirely new level. Coin number 2. What if I told you that a completely normal-looking penny from the mid-1950s could secretly hold the value of a high-end luxury watch? We are now examining the 1956 Lincoln Wheat Penny, struck at the Philadelphia Mint without a mint mark, an absolute staple of mid-century American commerce. This coin exists in an era of massive post-war prosperity, where the Philadelphia Mint was tasked with churning out an astronomical number of 1-cent pieces to keep up with a booming, unrelenting consumer economy. The sheer, overwhelming volume of production meant that quality control often slipped dramatically, making truly perfect, unblemished examples from this specific year exceptionally difficult to locate today. To identify the hidden potential of this common date, you must focus entirely on the immaculate nature of the planche and the absolute perfection of the strike. You are looking for a coin that somehow miraculously escaped the massive, violent industrial bins at the mint without taking a single scratch, nick, or ding from the millions of other coins crashing heavily against it. To grasp the importance of this perfection, we must look at the foundation of the series. The Lincoln Wheat cent was introduced to the American public in 1909, replacing the long-running Indian head design. It was masterfully sculpted by Victor David Brenner to celebrate the 100th anniversary of Abraham Lincoln's birth. For nearly 5 decades, these historic coins were manufactured in a specialized composition of 95% copper and 5% tin and zinc, known commonly as French bronze. They always prominently featured the dual wheat stalks on the reverse, a design meant to symbolize the agricultural strength and prosperity of the United States. The value of a 1956 penny is determined by a rigorous and unforgiving checklist. First is the utter absence of contact marks, requiring a surface so brilliantly smooth it looks like liquid metal. Second is a hammer-like strike, where the dies transferred every microscopic detail of Brenner's design into the copper with maximum pressure. Third is a blinding, original cartwheel luster that is not muted or faded over the decades. Fourth is a brilliant, undeniable red color designation, completely free of any mellowing. Fifth is the complete absence of environmental spotting, a constant and pervasive threat to copper coinage. Finally, the overall eye appeal must be nothing short of breathtaking to stand out among millions of common, heavily circulated survivors. To evaluate a 1956 penny from your own collection, you must execute a strict inspection routine mirroring these exact value factors. First, use high-power magnification to sweep the broad, open fields behind Lincoln's head, searching for even the tiniest bag mark or distracting scratch. Second, verify the strength of the strike by looking closely at the separation of the fine lines in Lincoln's coat lapel and the extreme upper tips of the wheat stalks. Third, manipulate the coin carefully under a single point of light to watch the unbroken bands of luster rotate smoothly across the entire surface. Fourth, judge the color strictly, ensuring it is a vibrant, full red rather than a subdued, oxidized red-brown. Fifth, inspect both the obverse and reverse for any dark carbon spots or green verdigris that might have formed over the last 70 years. Sixth, check the heavy outer rims to ensure they are perfectly square and completely free of any bumps or rim dings. The professional grading and classification of these late-era wheat pennies prove that microscopic differences in condition produce vast gulfs in value. An average uncirculated 1956 penny, even one that looks shiny to an amateur, is generally worth only a few dollars due to weak detail strikes and minor surface chatter. Yet, a mathematically perfect specimen, devoid of any flaws and boasting blinding red color, transcends its face value by tens of thousands of times. Many people believe that a coin must have a blatant error or an incredibly low mintage to be valuable. But experienced enthusiasts know that the sheer, miraculous perfection of an otherwise common coin is exactly what wealthy collectors will pay an absolute premium to acquire. These perfect survivors can still be found today, by those who know exactly where to look. They are routinely discovered hidden inside original, sealed paper bankrolls from the 1950s, tucked away in vintage coin albums assembled decades ago by careful hobbyists, found in forgotten estate sale lockboxes, and occasionally pulled from inherited jars of untouched vintage change. If you uncover a brilliant, flawless specimen, remember the golden rule: never attempt to clean, wipe, or polish the copper, because original mint surfaces hold all the value, and altering them will instantly destroy the coin's premium. Let this serve as a reminder that true scarcity always lives in the flawless state of preservation, never simply in the raw production numbers of the minting run. When an unparalleled, pristine 1956 Lincoln Wheat Penny, graded at the very pinnacle of the condition, census crosses the auction block, the final hammer price commands absolute respect, with the finest known example selling for a magnificent 800. Go dig through your old rolls and albums for any 1956 pennies immediately, because our final coin on this countdown represents the absolute apex of this legendary series. Coin number 1. What if I told you that the very last gasp of the wheat penny era produced a masterpiece in Denver that could easily buy you a brand new high-end sports car? We have arrived at the grand finale, the 1958 D Lincoln Wheat Penny, struck at the Denver Mint, marking the absolute final year of the beloved wheat reverse design before the historical switch to the Lincoln Memorial reverse in Mint 59. This coin represents the undeniable end of an era. By 1958, the Denver Mint was pushing its machinery and its aging dies to their absolute limits to satisfy the relentless needs of an exploding American population. Because the Mint knew the design was scheduled to be permanently retired the following year, there was little incentive to maintain pristine quality control, resulting in millions of softly struck, heavily marked, and visually inferior coins. Finding a perfect, deeply struck example from this terminal year is an incredible numismatic feat. To identify a truly monumental example of this coin, you must look for the D mint mark beneath the date, and then you must search for an incredibly bold, deeply etched strike across every single letter of the national motto, "In God We Trust." On almost all 1958 D pennies, these specific letters are mushy, flat, and indistinct. A sharp, crisp motto is the true hallmark of a remarkably fresh die and extraordinary strike pressure. To comprehend the gravity of this final year, we must look back at the entire majestic series one last time. The Lincoln Wheat Cent was triumphantly introduced in 1909 to replace the outdated Indian head cent. It was masterfully designed by sculptor Victor David Brenner to memorialize the 100th anniversary of Abraham Lincoln's birth. For exactly 50 years, this legendary coin was struck primarily in a composition of 95% copper and 5% tin and zinc, officially referred to as French bronze. It faithfully featured those iconic dual wheat stalks on the reverse, serving as a lasting, universally recognized symbol of America's agricultural abundance. The value of the ultimate 1958 D penny is dictated by an exacting and ruthless checklist. First is the extraordinary sharpness of the strike, particularly on the peripheral lettering near the rim and the high points of Lincoln's hair. Second is flawless surface preservation, requiring fields that are entirely untouched by the violent chaos of the minting facility. Third is a booming, radiant original mint luster that reflects ambient light exactly like a mirror. Fourth is an uncompromising color designation of perfect, fiery red. Fifth is the absolute purity of the copper, completely free from the tiny black carbon spots that ruin so many uncirculated mid-century examples. Finally, the overall aesthetic eye appeal must be historically significant and visually staggering. To inspect a 1958D from your own holdings, you must carefully follow a corresponding, rigorous routine. First, deploy a powerful magnifier to inspect the D mint mark and the motto, verifying that the edges of the individual letters are sharp and distinct rather than soft and rounded into the fields. Second, evaluate the surface integrity by scanning the flat areas for any microscopic abrasions or distracting bag marks. Third, tilt the coin back and forth beneath a bright, incandescent lamp to ensure the cartwheel luster spins unbroken across the entire face of the coin. Fourth, judge the copper hue objectively, demanding a full, vibrant factory red without any hints of brown oxidation. Fifth, scour the surface meticulously for any specks of environmental damage or invasive verdigris. Sixth, examine the outer rims for perfect, sharp edges without any beveling or physical damage. The stringent grading and classification of this final year issue demonstrates that infinitesimal differences in condition yield astonishing differences in monetary value. An ordinary uncirculated 1958 D penny is extremely common and might sell for less than a single dollar. However, a singular flawless specimen that somehow survived the final year of production with zero imperfections, retaining a blazing red color and a perfect strike, becomes one of the most coveted condition rarities of the entire 20th century. Many people believe that because billions of pennies were made in the late 1950s, they are all practically worthless. But experienced collectors know that the virtually impossible survival of a mechanically perfect, flawless specimen is what truly shatters auction records. Even these legendary final year coins can still be uncovered in the wild today. They are routinely pulled from long-forgotten 50-cent paper bank rolls stored away in the late 50s, discovered in pristine mid-century mint sets hidden in dusty attics, rescued from estate sales where generations of collections are sold off in bulk, and found carefully preserved in the back of inherited wooden coin cabinets. Should you discover one of these breathtaking final year pennies, you must never attempt to wash, clean, or brighten the copper in any manner, because preserving the fragile, original mint surface is the only absolute way to retain its monumental value. We must always remember that true scarcity lives exclusively within the immaculate condition and state of preservation, not merely in the raw, massive production numbers of the mint. When the absolute finest known 1958D Lincoln Wheat Penny, boasting perfect red color and flawless surfaces, finally crosses the auction block, the bidding wars are fiercely historic, with a record sale achieving an unbelievable $114,000. Go secure your own coin jars and check the dates right away, because the fortune you seek might literally be hiding in your pocket change. As we look back across the 1941, the 1955S, the 1956, and the incredible 1958D, it becomes undeniable that the pennies sitting right now in your home hold a hidden potential far greater than their stated face value. The real differentiator between a coin worth 1 single cent and a coin worth tens of thousands of dollars is a small, easy-to-miss detail, not its appearance or its age alone. Flawless preservation, exact strike characteristics, and pristine original color are the true uncompromising markers of a numismatic masterpiece. If you want to continue uncovering the hidden fortunes hiding in your everyday change, you need to subscribe to the channel right now. Make sure you turn on all notifications so you never miss a time-sensitive alert about these incredible, highly sought-after collectibles. Please take a moment to like the video to support the channel and share this with friends and family so they don't accidentally spend a fortune at the local grocery store. Right now, head down to the comment section and tell me, which of these 4 pennies surprised you the most? And have you ever found a wheat penny in your own spare change? If you thought the values on this list were staggering, you might be carrying around a completely different type of coin that wealthy collectors are desperately trying to find. Stop scrolling and click the video on your screen right now because there is a rare silver quarter in circulation that most people spend without a second thought, and you might have one in your pocket right now.